Hi everyone, and welcome to our next lesson. And in the previous one, we used JavaScript to actually scroll the window. But in this one, I want to teach you guys how to still do the very same thing, but only with CSS. So as you can see, what we have now is we've got our website. And if we press the About button, we got like a scroll effect. And all of this is just done with CSS only. Okay, so there's a couple of nice properties built into HTML5, which will enable you to kind of do this as well. All right, so this is just for the guys that wants to learn how to do it just with CSS. Yes, it's possible. As you can see, we can do the very same thing. Okay, but what we're going to do now is we're gonna get into the coding part of the tutorial. Okay, so let's go. All right, so on your desktop, what you're going to do is we're going to do the right click as usual, say new folder. Okay, and this one we're going to go call it CSS scroll. Okay, so CSS scroll. And what we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to say open with code. All right, I got my window open. I need to kind of just change the fonts for you guys. So let me make this font a little bit bigger. Let's say 26. Right, and just make this bigger as well so you guys can see right there. All right, so this will be a shorter video than the previous one. The previous one is a bit long, but I wanted you guys to get all the content and knowledge that you can. Right, for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to open a new folder. All right, the first one as we do, we have a CSS folder, new folder again, image folder. Let me just make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, it might be too big, so I just want you guys to see. Then new file, index.html. All right, so what we have now is we've got our CSS, we've got our image, and we've got our index.html file. Okay, so let me do this. Hopefully everything is not too big. Let me just go like this. Okay, so you guys can still see the folder structure there. Okay, so that's the first part. Now we're going to create the boilerplate for our HTML. So what we're going to do is exclamation mark. That's basically shift and 1. Then you will have this pop up and Emmett will show you this. If you click that, it creates you a boilerplate. Easy peasy. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to require Google Fonts and we're going to require Font Awesome. Font Awesome obviously for the icon and Google Fonts obviously for the fonts. Okay, so those are the two things we're going to require. Let me just call this CSS Smooth Scroll. Okay, so let's do that. So the next step is to let's go and get the icons and our fonts. Okay, so let's go to the browser. Right, in our browser, we're going to type in Google Fonts. All right, so there's Google Fonts. Obviously, fonts.google.com. That's the one you're looking for. Let me just zoom in a bit. This is the one you're looking for, so you're just going to press that. Okay. The guys that watch on a smaller screen so they can be able to see what we're doing as well. Right, so we need two fonts because the one that we have is for the heading and the other one is just the normal fonts. Okay, so let's quickly check the name of the fonts. And the first one that we have is right here, Roboto. So we're going to click on Roboto. We're just going to choose the 400 because we don't want to go too fancy. So this pops up. No, that's fine. Then we can go back. And what the next one is Ultra. Okay. So this is the Ultra font. So you click on it. Then you will just see the select style. So basically what this does, now I've got two fonts. And what the Google font does, let me just dismiss that. What it does, it actually puts a link with both the fonts into one link. Very, very handy. Very nice to do. So let's copy this one. So what you do, I'm just going to use the link. I'm not going to import. So I'm just going to copy, go to VS Code. Right, since we're here, what we're going to do is we're just going to paste it on top there, right there. So let's do this, call this Google Fonts. Okay. Pause it. Quite handy just to name where everything is. Okay. So the next part we can do, we're going to add font awesome. Okay, so we're going to add font awesome right there. Okay. So let's go to our browser. Okay, so we're here. Now we're just going to type in font awesome. All right. So then you just click, obviously, this one right there. Okay. All right, I'm already signed in. I'm now already got a kit. But in order to use Font Awesome, you kind of create a free account. So you just say start with free, then you create your free account. Now I already have an account, so I'm just going to go to my kits. And this one right here. So I'm just going to click it. And then you will create this code. Once you created your account and you create your free kit, then you'll just get this code right there. Okay, so you create your own free kit. So let me copy this one. Just create your own code. Okay. So it's not going to cost you anything. Then you can do that. Okay, so let me copy this code. Let's go back to VS Code. Okay, so we place our script right there. So now we've got our Google Fonts and now we've got our Font Awesome included. All dandy. Let's go. All right. So we're just I'm going to do in this one, I'm just going to put out all the CSS and then I'm going to do all the HTML, sorry. Then I'm going to do the CSS later. So I'm just going to do them all in one shot because the HTML is quite easy to do. So let me just go ahead and just do that for us quickly. All right, so another thing that we need to do, let's in our CSS folder right here, let me just zoom in a bit. So right in this folder, what we're going to do is a new file, and we're just going to add our style.css. You can call it main style app CSS, whatever you feel comfortable with. Right, so this is basically our style sheet, and we're going to get this obviously in the last bit of the course. Right, so what we're going to do now is in here, we're just going to obviously link to that style sheet. Okay, so for us, we're just going to say main style. Okay. Right, you can obviously use Emmet, so I'm just going to press link. Then it basically gives me kind of this. So for us, we're going to go into the CSS folder. And in that, we have our style.css. And I just like to add the type, text, CSS. Right. So there we're all linked up. And the next part we're going to need is obviously the images, but I will get to that once we finished our HTML. Okay, so let me quickly get our thing going here. Right, so let's start here. So the first thing that we're going to need is we're going to need a container. All right, so we have a div, the class of container. This container will actually encapsulate all our content. All right, so that's the first thing that we're going to need. And then we're going to need a nav. This is basically the top part of our navigation. So we got our nav, and inside our nav, we got our Font Awesome icon that we're going to add. So let's quickly do that. All right, so let's quickly search our icons, and I need a car. So let me just go for a car. You can obviously choose whatever you want. You can style out if you want. This is the car, so we just want to choose the free ones only. And I'm just going to choose this car right here. Yeah. Let's click on it. Getting coffee, one sec.
So you can actually just click on it right here. So like that, and it actually copies the icon for you. Right, let's go back to VS Code. Right, when we're here, we just paste it in right there. Okay, so we got our car, and we want it 2 times bigger. So to do that, you can press FA-2 times. So that means it will be 2 times bigger, or you can 3 times or 4 times. Okay, or you can do the small one as well. Okay, the next part we're going to do a UL. So it means that's unordered list, and we're going to put in list items. In our list items, what we're going to have, right, so in our list items, we're going to have an anchor tag. So in Emmet, if you're in VS Code, you just press A, then Emmet comes up, you press it OK, then it actually fills in the anchor tag for you. So you don't need to type everything. So we had 4 buttons on top. We had the home, the about, and the service, and the contact. So let's create those. So let's say hashtag home. And let me just copy down 4 times. So that is Shift Alt and the arrow down button to do that. Okay, so the next one it's about. And this one is called services. And this one is contact. Okay. Instead of services, I'm just going to make it like this. And then obviously we could put home, about, service, and where's the last one? And then the last one is contact. Right. So now there we got our 4 right there. Right. So then after our nav, we're going to actually have a section. So let's call it like this, section. Okay. But let me just show you a quicker way. All right. What you're going to do is a section with a hashtag. You see this hash home. Then we're just going to type in home right there. So what it will do is actually create section with the ID of home. And this home is going to link to this one right there. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a div with the class of shape. Just like that. We don't need to fill anything in there. So it's just kind of open and closing div with no content in between. All right. The next one we're going to create is a div with a class of content. Just like that. Okay. And inside that, we're going to have an H1 with title, a classic. Okay. Next part we're going to have is a P tag, paragraph tag, and we're just going to do some lorem ipsum of, let's say, 20. Yeah. Lorem ipsum with 20. Right. So we're going to just copy this down like 1, 2, 3 times because we just want to fill those in. And then we're almost done with the HTML. So 1, 2, 3. So, right. So we got our home. It's perfect. And then we got our about. All right. The next part that we have is service. You must make sure that you spell this and this must correspond right there. Otherwise, the navigation link won't work. Okay. So the next part, the last part we have is contact. Okay. So we have that right there. So we have our home, about, service, contact. Okay. And then with our last one that we're going to add is called our footer. Yes. Clever, clever, clever. Then we're going to just add a P tag in there. Then we're just going to write the ampersand, copy. So obviously VS Code will kind of give us already a hint what we're doing. So they can see that. We're just going to press 2021 and we're going to say copyright. Just something like that. Or you can just say all rights reserved. Yeah. Just something like this. And then we're all done with our HTML. Okay. Easy peasy. So let's quickly see how this looks like in VS in our browser actually. So we right click and we say open with live server. Woohoo! We're all done. Thank you guys for watching. I'm just joking. Alright, so all the links works. Alright, so now we need to make it pretty. And that's where the CSS comes in. And yes, the prettiness and as well as the images. We're going to get the images in a sec. You know what? Let's quickly get the images so that when we do the styling, we can get it all done. So let's quickly get the images. Right, the library that I used is called Pexels. So let's P-E-X-E-L-A. Okay. So we press that. Let me just, I don't have to really zoom in. Just make it a little like this. Okay. So in Pexels, we just click www.pexels.com. We click on the link. And what we have is we got our lovely Pexels open right there. And in here, we're just going to press VW, our previous searches. Let's go for that. All right, in the VW searches, as you can see, this is one of our images. So you click on it, you download. The next one is this one right there. You click on it and you download. So like this, then you go to free download right there and you can press the large one. So I'm choosing the 1920 by 101280. Okay, so pick that one. Right, that's the one image. I already downloaded them, so I'm not going to download it again. So the next one is this one over here, and this one over here, and the last one is this one over here. So you got 4 images. Okay, so yep. With all of that, let's quickly get those images in our folder. So when you download them, just copy them into your image folder. Okay. All right. So in VS Code, let me just make it a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to make it bigger and smaller as we go. All right. So in here, I got those 4 images. So I renamed them image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4. Obviously in production, you kind of want to give a more descriptive name, but I just wanted to make it easy so that we can actually follow it quite easily. So we don't have to struggle to find out where's this image and stuff like that. Okay. So I just renamed them. I put them in there, image 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Easy. All right, so now we're going to get into our styling of our CSS. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to always do, actually, as you start coding, so this is just a little bit nugget of knowledge. As you start coding, you're probably going to, when into production, you're probably going to use frameworks like Bootstrap, Tailwind CSS, or Materialize. You're probably going to use those frameworks to kind of do your styling for you. And you will just use like Tailwind CSS, you use utilities, and Bootstrap, you use components and stuff like that. Right? But when you learn how to code the CSS yourself, so that you know when you get into the frameworks of CSS, you will actually know what they do and how they actually do it. Right? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to just set the margin to 0. And the padding to 0, that is 2. And that is kind of just to remove the default styling of the thing. And we're just going to say box sizing to border box. That's the first thing we do. That's a universal selector, and it's the styling we're going to apply to the thing. Okay. So the next part that we can do is we're going to style the body. Right, in the body, we're gonna, let me just do this. Okay. All right, in the body, what we're going to do is we need to create our font. So the font family that we're going to have is going to be Roboto. So that's the first one. If it doesn't find Roboto, there needs to be a default, and we're just going to put sans serif. That's actually the one that you could have copied from Google Fonts, but just wanted to explain that as well. We're going to set a default color for the body to #333. Make it 444. A little bit lighter. Okay, and then we're going to set the default line height to 1.6. And we're going to set the height of the body to 100%, 100 view height. Okay, this is kind of important, you will see. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set the overflow to hidden. Okay. Now the next part that we're going to do is we're going to style the container. So let's just go here. You see this container right there. Now this little jack is the one that's going to be responsible for how we're going to smooth scroll. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say container. We're going to give it a width of 100%. Okay. Then we're going to give it a height of 100%. Okay. And now here comes the smooth scrolling part. Let me just comment this for you. So CSS smooth. Comment that for you. Now here we're going to say overflow Y. We're going to say scroll. Okay. So basically what we want to do is the overflow on Y. We want it to scroll. And scroll behavior. See, we're going to say we want it smooth. And then the scroll snap type. Just trying to do it short coded, and we're going to say Y mandatory. Okay, easy peasy. All right. So the next part that we're going to do is we're going to style the nav. Okay. So the nav. Okay, and then in the nav, what we're going to do is we're going to do a position of fixed. So we want the nav bar to basically stay in its position. We want to display the content inside the nav bar as flags. Okay, so basically that means this nav bar is going to be flags, and this one is going to be a flags item, and this one is going to be a flags item. Okay, so we do that, and we're going to justify the content space between. So that means one will be on this side and one will be on the other side. So 1 here, 1 here. Okay. And align items center. So basically if they're in the same line, we don't want, my apologies, we don't want the one to be, let's say that's the line. We don't want the one to be there and the other one to be at the bottom. We want them to be on the same height right there. Okay. Right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to align the items. We're going to give it a width of 100%. We want to take it, let it take up all the width that it can. And then the height, it's going to do 60 pixels. And give it a white background. Okay, so background color off-white, FE. Not white, but it's not gray either, so it's in between. Okay, we're going to give it a border of bottom, yes, of 1 pixel, solid, hashtag E78, okay, A1F. Okay, so you can change it to whatever color you want. If you hover over it, you can obviously play around with it. Okay, I'm not going to do that. This is the color I used to style the previous one. And we're just going to give it a Z index of 1, meaning we want it to be always on top. So I'm not going to give the other ones a Z index. So we just want this one to always be on top. All right, so the next part we're going to do is we're going to style the icon. So nav-I, so it means we want to style this bad boy right there. Okay, so let's quickly do the eye. Give it a background color of the same thing. So let's just do this. Let's copy and paste it in here. Bam. Okay. The next thing we can do is give it a color of white. Okay, so we want, we're going to give it padding of 1.6 rem and 0.9. And let's give it a margin left of 5 rem. Okay, let's quickly see how it looks like in the browser. Woohoo, we're getting there. So as you can see, we styled our icon right there, and everything is not pretty yet. All right, so we're kind of getting there. So now we need to style those little suckers there and get them in there, and we're almost there. All right, so my videos will always be a little bit longer because I really want you guys to understand my reasoning behind what I do, but you can obviously do it your way. Once you know how it works, you can style anything however you want, but obviously there's certain principles that you want to stick to. Right, so now we're going to style the nav, the ones that was right in the corner right there. We're just going to style it right there. Okay, so we're going to display them as flags as well. So when we do that, let's quickly go to our browser. When we do that, we display them actually in the same direction right there. And then we can obviously remove the dots and everything on it. So let's go back to VS Code. Right, so we do that, and we're going to say the list style none because we want to remove the bullet points on them. And we're going to say justify content center, align item center, and obviously margin right. And we're going to say 5 for it as well. Reason why we do margin right and that, just to kind of give margins at the right and the left. This one is on the left, so we give it that, and this one. Okay, so let's see how that looks like in the browser again. Refresh it. As you can see, nice right there. Okay, so let's go back to VS Code. Come on. Right. Alright, so what we're going to do is the nav, and then we can style the list item. And in the list item, what we can do is going to say margin of 0 top and bottom, 1 rem left and right. Okay, and we're just going to give it some padding. 1 rem. You can do this however you want. So you can even remove that, and you can actually just do the padding. But I just chosen this direction. You can do it however you want. Right, so the next thing we can do is we're going to style the nav, the UL, it's actually UL, the LI, and the A. So it means what we're doing right there is we're going to stay the nav, UL, LI, and then the A. We want to style the anchor tag. Okay. So we're just going to say text decoration of none. So what that does is if you see there's underlinings underneath that, and when you set text decoration none, it removes the underline. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. So when we save this and go back, you can see it's completely removed. Nice. Okay. All right, so the next thing. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're gonna give it a font size of 0.85 rem. 1 rem is 16 pixels. So that's a standard default font. So 0.85 of the 16 pixels of 1 out of 1 basically. Okay, so the font, I'm just going to say text decoration, transform, sorry. We just wanted to transform them to uppercase. And we want to give it a color of our lovely orangey color there. So let's do that. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to give it a hover effect. So nav, ULLRA, and hover. Okay, so we're just going to give it a color. Just copy this color, paste it in there. Right, and I'm just going to use just hover over it, and I'm just going to make it a little bit darker. Just like that. Easy peasy. Nope. Just make it a little bit darker. Right, so then we're going to style our sections. Okay, so if we style a section, so basically it is this one right there. We're going to style all the sections. Okay, so the section we're going to do is we're going to style the sections. Please be position relative. Okay, and what you must do, you must be a width of 100%, the height of 100 view height. All right, now here's the nice part. Okay, so basically, since we did the scroll right here, the snap type, we're going to say for on the icon that we want to snap, because this is basically going to be the container that you snap to. Okay, so you're going to say scroll snap, now type align to center. Okay, so let's quickly see how that looks like in the browser. So as you can see, now what we have here is home, about, but we can obviously there we see the scrolling effect, but obviously everything is white, so we can't really see what is happening. All right, so we have that right there. We're obviously going to do the styling now. So we have our shape. All right, the next one is we need to style the shape. Style the shape. Before we do that, let's quickly add the backgrounds images, because the shape will be difficult to see if we don't have a background. So let's background with the section with an ID of home. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to give it a background. So the background URL. Okay, so what we're going to do, we need to know we're inside this folder right there. So we want to do is we want to go out of this folder. So double. Then when we outside the folder, we want to go inside the image folder. Okay, and then we want image 1. Easy peasy. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to ask for a no repeat. Okay, we want to center the image, top and bottom, left and right, center it as well, and then we want to cover. All right, that's just a shorthand for background repeat, and then basically we say no repeat. Okay, so basically this right there is this, and then background position, basically center. All right, so basically that's what we've been doing right there. Okay, so and then object, and then say background display, we just say cover. Okay, so that's the first one. Let me just copy it down 4 times, because we're going to do that for the about as well. The service, and obviously the contact. Okay, so we're just going to rename this to 2, sir, thank you, 3, yes, and 4, right, 4 like that. Okay, so we got our images in, so let's quickly see how that looks like. Refresh, please work. Not working. Why is not working? Okay, let me just check what's wrong. Woohoo, we're in business. All right, so the thing that we need to do is I obviously need to remove that extra styling. So basically the background, let me just do this. See the background at the bottom, this extra styling here, because we already have it there, that duplication, we have it off. And you actually remove the section, the ID actually close towards the section element right there. Okay, so if we save this, don't leave any spacing like this. Okay, so we got our section there and we got space and contact. Just remove the spacing, then you're all sorted. So let's see how that looks like. Voila! Right, so we got our home, we got our about, got a service, and we got our contact. Nice. Right, so if I want to show you, let me just remove the scroll Y snap. Let me just show you. So let's just go back. If we're in here, let's say we don't give the body a height of 100. Let's just, for argument's sake, let's remove it. If we get to the browser and you click here, as you can see, it's immediately there. There's no, you see, it's nothing is happening. You know, the scroll effect is not on it. It's just like, it doesn't even exist, even with all the coding that we have done to style to make it scroll smooth. But the reason for that is because it scrolls according to your container of your body. That's why the container is a height of 100%. It will be styled according to this one right there. Right, and now the smooth scroll effect can happen. Let's go back. I know it's a lot of unnecessary information, but you guys just want to see how to do it. But if it doesn't work for you, just make sure you have your container set on 100%. So that's basically the smooth scroll. And the last part of the thing is just basically just going to add some extra content in the corner right there. So let's quickly go back. All right, so the next part we're going to do is just going to style the sections basically. Right, so we're going to do the shape. All right, so underneath this, we're going to do that shape that we have. Right, so what we're going to do is, since we position this relative, we're going to position the shape absolute within the relative. Just position, nope, root. Okay, a width of 100%. No. Top part is 50%. Top part and the left, we want it to be left 0. Now what we want to do is we want to translate X, translate Y. Yep, we want to translate Y minus 50%. I will also show you why I'm doing this. Now, but let's quickly style. We're going to say the border top. We're going to do 30 view height, solid, hashtag FFF. So we basically want it to be white and the border. All right. We want to be 3 view widths of solid, but we want it to be transparent. Hey. And we're going to give it a width of 35 view. Right, so let's quickly see how this looks like. Let's go to our browser. So basically what we have done is we have drawn this bad boy right there. Just like this. Let me just quickly style it. Right, instead of that, we make it a bit 60. And you can see we make it taller right there. So basically what happens is this whole thing is a border. So this, from there to here, the border is at 30 view heights. And the corner right here, you see, basically it's a square. But we're going to give it a right border here of 3 view heights. So basic view widths. So basically here, the 3 view widths is basically the border right. Basically it's just one big border. Okay. Let me just, now it's 100%. Okay. So let's see. That's it. Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to position the text as well
absolute. Let me just show you the 50%. Let me quickly do the 50% for you. Let me show you why we transform translate. Let me just remove this and go back to that. As you can see, what it does, if we move it down top 50%, it will take top 50% on the middle part of the line right there. That's 50%. But what it does, it takes it 50% on the top side of whatever container you have. But when we do the translate Y of negative 50%, it will actually move it up to the center of your container or content right there. Okay, so that's why, because we wanted to position it absolutely 100% in the middle. Okay, so that's why the video is a bit longer, because I over-explain things. But anyways, right, so you guys can obviously skip this part because the smooth scrolling effect is already in there. Okay, so the last part we're going to do is we're going to do the content. And then we're going to position that also absolute. Okay. And then we're going to give it also a top of 50%. So we want it to be the same as that. And what we're going to do is going to give it the left of 0. And we're going to copy this down as well. Could have just done this and paste it in there because I want them to be in the same position. We're going to give them a width of 40 view width. Okay. Okay, and padding of 2 then. Let's see how that looks like. Alright, so obviously this is too big. We need to make it smaller. Let's see. This must be 30. Let's see. Let's save that. Go back. Voila! Everything is inside the container right there. So this one, I'm going to give her the other font that we choose, Ultra. I'm just going to make the headings the Ultra. Okay. So let's quickly do that. Right, so now I'm back in here. So we're going to give it section. Voila, section H1. Or what we can do, instead of section H1, since this is inside the content, we can just say content H1. Class of content. Inside that we have the H1. And we're going to give it a font family. Come on, font family of Ultra. Or Ultra. Okay, Ultra. And the second one is just going to be serif. That's just the backup font. And the font size. Or bars of 3.5 rem, and the color of hashtag E78A1F. Okay, and obviously just copy this down, and then we have our paragraph. Replace this with a P. And we can just going to do a font size of 1.2. And we're all done. So let's quickly see how it looked like. Voila! We done the website, boys and girls. Right, so we got the classic. And on the home, we got our about, services, contact. Okay. Easy peasy. Alright, so you guys can obviously explore this a little bit further, expand on it, make it better, improve on it. It's not the most prettiest website that you will see, but it's still something that you guys can learn and see how to use it and work with it. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys, and look forward to we're going to do a JavaScript complete course for you as well, and then we're going to do a React course, a Vue.js course, and obviously PHP, and then we're going to teach you guys Laravel as well. Laravel and Livewire. So we're going to teach all those things still on the website. So all of that takes a bit of time. So during the course of this year, we're going to add all of that. So we're going to teach you the React framework, the Vue.js framework, JavaScript, plain vanilla JavaScript. We're going to teach you PHP. And then we're going to teach you LiveWire. And then we're going to teach you Laravel. Obviously Laravel with Jetstream. And the other thing, we're going to do the Python course for you and the Danger framework for Python. We're going to do all of that on this YouTube channel, but it's not going to happen everything tomorrow. It all takes time, so I'm going to do that throughout this year. Hopefully, God willing, obviously. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Enjoy. Peace out.